The theme is continued on That's What's Up, in which 50's G-Unit partners Lloyd Banks and Tony Yayo join him on the mic. You Not Like Me starts with a repeated chant of NYPD, LAPD, before descending into a loping, sinisterly macho boast about 50's street credentials. All the more chilling for being delivered in an almost conversational style, against a sparse musical backdrop that sounds like Bargain Basement Dre. 50 bars loops a vintage orchestral soul sample, a disembodied female vocal trapped somewhere in the distant past, as 50 spits out fatalistic couplets of violence and paranoia, while certainty and reason all seem to dissolve with the music. Life's on the Line also uses an orchestral sample, though in this case the effect is closer to the twisted showpiece to some Dickensian West End musical. 50 lays into fake gangster rappers who've dissed him on record, specifically Nas and Jay-Z, warning them that they're playing a dangerous game, and they ain't built like that. Get Out the Club is an attack on bitches that don't show no lovin', sharply countered by the next track, Be a Gentleman. This is a bizarre gangster reworking of the popular Christmas carol God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, which advises anyone dissing 50 to be a gentleman and watch what they say. The self-explanatory fuck you continues along similar lines, as does a bruising Too Hot. Who You Rep With finds 50 in reflective mood, pondering on ghosts and aliens and those who are no longer with us, over a mournful refrain and the distant sound of ocean waves, before the familiar rage and defiance kicks back in. Corner Bodega is a paean to Southside Jamaica and street life, which name-checks Supreme, aka 1980s crack kingpin Kenneth McGriff, among other characters from back in the day. There's a mixture of genuine regret, affection and pain in 50's voice, as he attempts to set the record straight, for his own benefit, one suspects, more than anyone else's, as much of the meaning of the track is impenetrable to anyone not familiar with the circumstances being detailed. As the World Turns refers to suicidal Arab bombers and the attack on the World Trade buildings, before the album closes with a trio of freestyling numbers, showcasing 50's mixtape style. The album as a whole is rough and ready, and the production standards and beats are hardly likely to trouble the Neptunes and Timbalands of this world. Nevertheless, its grimy lo-fi style has an appeal all of its own, and it showcases 50 Cent's menacing drool delivery perfectly, providing appropriate musical colour to his tales of authentic street life. He comes over as the raw and hungry underdog, ready to knock the likes of Nas and Jay-Z from their pedestals by sheer force of his personality. Guess Who's Back was a huge underground hit, and 50 Cent followed it with 2 bootleg CDs in which he rapped over other artists' tunes, 50 is the Future, its title taken from a line on Guess Who's Back, and No Money, No Fear. The latter featured one original track, which within weeks of its release became New York City radio's most requested record, Gangsta. 50 Cent would soon be breaking out of the ghetto, for real.
So I'll never be equivalent to Eminem or Dr. Dre because they seen the qualities in me. I'll always be. Like, if Eminem says I'm the future of music, then what he's saying is he's the future of music because he signed it. It's just going to go further than he believes. If he says he's the future, that means he might be deciding to sit down for a little while I run things, but it'll still be him running things.
Marshall Mathers III was the biggest hip-hop star on the planet in 2002. Maybe the biggest music star period. The white rapper from Detroit had just finished work on his 3rd album, his most ambitious yet, and was about to make his movie debut in 8 Mile, a major Hollywood production that was loosely based on his own early years as a struggling artist. A skinny white kid from a Midwestern trailer park background, Mathers, aka Eminem, alias the real Slim Shady, had to prove himself every step of the way in the hip-hop industry, which is traditionally focused on the black urban centres of New York and LA. He did this with a lyrical style that was quite unlike anything anyone had heard before, a series of neurotic, funny, violent and original rhymes delivered in a nasal, whiny voice that in turn attracted the attention of one of hip-hop's most respected and innovative producers, Dr. Dre. Dre had already changed the course of music history twice before, inventing the phenomenon of gangsta rap with his group NWA in the late 80s, and a couple of years later creating the more laid-back G-funk sound through his solo album, The Chronic, and his work with Snoop Doggy Dogg and others. His work with Eminem was to revolutionise hip-hop for a third time, when he took the rapper under his wing and produced his first smash hit single signed via Shady Records to his own Aftermath imprint. By 2001, Dre and Eminem had the world at their feet. They needed a new challenge. Enter 50 Cent. Eminem inevitably had heard the mixtapes and bootleg LPs that 50 Cent and G-Unit were putting around. He was impressed with the buzz and the myth building around the guy. Here was this ex-crack dealer from the South Side, Jamaica, who'd been signed up, then dropped after being shot 9 times at close range. Yet he'd not only survived, but he'd carried on writing and rhyming, putting out his own releases and building it up again. He'd come back stronger than ever, flooding the market with material in a way that no MC had ever done before, releasing 5 albums in a matter of months. That was going to make people take notice. That proved that 50 Cent had got what it took. After Guess Who's Back and 50 Cent Is the Future came out, Eminem began bigging 50 up on the radio. Whenever he was asked what other rappers he thought were hot, as he was often, he would drop 50 Cent's name. He compared him to Tupac, which is about the highest accolade you can get in the rap world, saying that, like him, whatever he said you felt like it was for real. That's the thing with 50, he said, that same aura that's been missing since we lost Pac and Biggie, the authenticity, the realness behind it. For Eminem, authenticity was important. He always told it straight, said just what he was thinking or feeling at that time. He played around with people's expectations, sure, but he never played up to them. 50 was the same. He used who he was, exploited his street tough origins, but he was always honest, like he really didn't care what people thought about him. Like Eminem, he rapped about his own experiences and never forgot where he came from. Both rappers came up the hard way from poor, dysfunctional families. Both were genuine products of the street, and both intimidated a lot of suits in the music business for exactly that reason. So Eminem immediately felt a kinship with 50, and when Gangsta exploded all over the New York radio, he knew he was going to be the next big thing. 50 got the call on Friday night, and on Saturday Eminem flew out to LA to meet him. He was all hyped up to sell himself, but as soon as Eminem arrived, he could tell that the rap megastar was even more nervous about the meeting than he was. Eminem had already decided that he wanted to sign 50, but was afraid that he would see him as some mainstream corporate clown. Significantly though, Eminem was one of the few rappers that 50 had never dissed on tape. The two bonded immediately. Everyone else was afraid to work with me for reasons outside of music, 50 said. He looked straight past that. The interest of Eminem and Dre in 50 Cent immediately started a bidding war among major labels, suddenly eager to sign the outsider they'd shunned for so long. But 50 was always resolved that he would make a deal with Shady, Aftermath, for artistic reasons, as well as the $1 million fee they gave him. He knew that Eminem as an artist and Dre as a producer were the right people to help him take it to the next level. But just as 50 had found his new mentors, he was about to lose the one who first put him on this road. The ghosts of his past were about to come back and haunt him once again.
In a situation like Jam Master Jay's, where someone comes up into a studio to your place of business and does that the answers between what happens lies between his enemies and his friends. So they say, who's his enemies? And because Jam Master Jay doesn't have a bad aura around him, you can't find a lot of enemies. Then you say, who's his friends? And then 50 Cent name pops up and they go, oh, well, he's not an enemy.
At 7:30 p.m. on the evening of Wednesday, October the 13th, 2002, 37-year-old Jason Mizzle, aka Run DMC DJ Jam Master Jay, was gunned down in cold blood by an unknown assailant. He died immediately from his injuries. Jay was working in the studio on New York's Merrick Boulevard when he was killed. There were 5 other people in the studio with him at the time, although 3 of these claimed to have been listening to a demo in another room at the time of the killing, and so not to have seen the perpetrator. His death appears to have been the work of a professional, as he was shot cleanly in the head, execution style. But no one could think of a single plausible reason why anyone would want to kill Jam Master Jay. As waves of shock ran through the whole music community, not just the world of hip-hop, tributes poured out to the DJ from those who knew him. He was much loved, respected as an innovator, a pioneer, and a musical mentor to many. He was a clean-living Christian and family man who was survived by his wife and 3 sons, and who before his death had devoted much of his time to youth and community projects. Despite this, days after the event, the New York Post reported in typically scurrilous tabloid style that his murder was revenge for a drug deal gone wrong over 8 years ago. Friends, family and associates were quick to rubbish this claim. Jay hated cocaine, hated it, he had no reason to sell drugs, said Russell Simmons, Def Jam founder and brother of Run DMC's Run. Anyone who had even a cursory knowledge of Run DMC knew that all of them were vociferously anti-drugs. Yet the New York Post named Jay's childhood friend Curtis Schoon as the prime suspect in the killing, claiming that he harboured a grudge against DJ after he was ripped off for $30,000 while trying to buy 2 kilos of cocaine from him. The paper also accused Jam Master Jay associate Ronald Washington of acting as a lookout and tip-off man for the killer. Quite apart from the unlikelihood of Jay being involved in drugs, it also seemed bizarre that Schoon should wait over 8 years before exacting his revenge. Neither he nor Washington were in fact included in any police investigation into the case, although Washington has since been arrested for armed robbery. But no charges relating to Jay's murder have been brought. Another theory was that the killing was part of an insurance scam related to a supposed policy taken out by Randy Allen that he would benefit by in the event of DJ's death. Allen was one of the people in the studio with Jay at the time, although he was among those who claimed to have been in the other room. Present in the same room when Jay was shot were Uriel Rincon, who was shot in the leg, and Allen's sister Lydia, who admitted to opening the door to the assailants after they were buzzed into the building. She has since gone into hiding, and police describe all 5 witnesses as uncooperative, delivering conflicting accounts of the night. Allen has categorically denied all the accusations. Run DMC had just returned from a successful American tour with Aerosmith and Kid Rock, and were due to begin recording their 8th album. However, after Jay's death, a tearful Run announced that there was no way that the group could carry on without him. Over $300,000 reward was offered for information leading to the identity and whereabouts of Jay's killer. Yet despite all the obvious love felt for him on the streets, no one has yet come forward. All police had to go on was a description of the killer as a 180-pound black male, standing 6 foot to 6'2" and wearing a black hat and sweatshirt. But the method used to kill Jay and the fact that no one who knows anything has been willing to speak out suggests that this was a professional murder, with powerful forces behind it. Immediately following the killing, police sought 50 Cent out and offered him protection, claiming they had credible evidence that his life may be in danger too. No news there. He has lived with danger all his life. But on December the 23rd, the New York Post suggested that Kenneth McGriff, aka Supreme, was the police's original suspect in the murder. Supreme, name-checked by 50 on Guess Who's Back, was a notorious drugs overlord in 50's old patch of Queens during the 1980s. He had also been linked to Irv Gotti's Murder Inc. record label, and he and his associates have been under investigation from the FBI for the last year, in relation to a series of music industry-related shootings, as well as for using $3 million worth of drug money to set up the label. 50's beef with Murder Inc. was common knowledge, and it's impossible that the rapper would not have been known to Supreme during his crack-dealing heyday. There were even rumours that 50 Cent was the real target of the hit on Jay. In the aftermath of the slaying, New York radio broadcast tearful accusations from the likes of Ed Lover and funk master Flex that Irv Gotti and Ja Rule were involved in the killing. For 50's part, he simply expressed his profound regret and sorrow at his old mentor's death.